Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I have another video for you guys from Seth the Programmer. This one talking about whether or not adult Sasuke could beat Madara. Now I think he's going to talk about the dual Rinnegan, six paths, 10 tails Jinchuriki Madara. That's the version of Madara that I think he's going to be talking about. And whether or not adult Sasuke, and specifically the Sasuke that we see in the Boruto series, and take that version of Sasuke and put him up against that version of Madara and see who would come out on top. So let's not waste any more time and just go ahead and play the video.
So right off the bat, I think it's pretty important to preface that by stepping into this video, I am just causing a shit show in general. It's been requested for like 2 years now, and I'm just now getting to it now that we've kind of learned more about Sasuke as an adult per se, and you know, power scaling and arguments have evolved for even say Naruto and the Six Paths characters. We've learned a lot as guides have come out as well, and people are very obsequious to these two Uchiha deities, right? I mean, if I say Madara wins, the Sasuke fans are gonna be triggered. If I say Sasuke wins, the Madara fans are going to be triggered. And the Naruto fan base tends to look at who wins more than the arguments constructing why someone wins. So, yeah, I'm really not winning by stepping in here. But other than that, I hope you guys look at what I say under a critical lens. Maybe less about the winner and more about what I say. For those of you who have not seen Boruto, this might be a good learning experience for some of you. I know a lot of people don't power scale Boruto. I think I'm really the only one on YouTube that kind of power scales Boruto at all. Hopefully I can shed some light on some things, and other than that, let's get started. So right off the bat, I think it's pretty important to talk about misconceptions surrounding adult Sasuke. For Sasuke, the big one is mainly Sasuke got weaker as an adult and isn't Six Paths level headassery of that caliber.
No, that's a bunch of BS.
Debunk that notion with the established axioms of the narrative. Naruto and Sasuke have been training for many years since the war and have had to fight characters like Toneri and so on. Toneri being able to throw the moon at Earth and destroy it at the end of the last is astronomically stronger than any non-Six Paths character said maybe might guy via power scaling, which is more debatable based on raw power feats alone, making it extremely hard to believe that just a base non-Hagoromo boosted Biju Sage Mode Naruto could defeat him, since Naruto and Sasuke became much stronger even in their base forms after meeting the Sage of the Six Paths. Naruto and Sasuke then trained for many more years, honing their abilities until Naruto becomes Hokage, in which he becomes rusty compared to his prime, which his prime is not necessarily the war arc since he got stronger since then. An example, Naruto is still the link of all the tailed beasts, just like he was during the fight with Kaguya, and has another half of the nine tails added to his overall strength after the battle with Sasuke, so he'd only get stronger technically, and this is also shown by him mastering new techniques. It was also established by Kurama that the Rinnegan of Sasuke was new and could not utilize its full abilities during the trio of Six Paths face-offs, such as absorbing attacks while attacking and etc. This is also stated by Sasuke, as he states he's getting more used to the Rinnegan when the battle with Naruto begins. As an adult, we see Sasuke able to use the Rinnegan at a far more advanced level, being able to see and stop time, and being able to rip holes between dimensions, something he could not do before. Naruto and Sasuke are then faced with the Otsutsuki duo Kinshiki and Momoshiki. Sasuke, during the initial encounter with them, thinks that Kinshiki and Momoshiki are the threats greater than Kaguya, even after he fights Kinshiki with low chakra in their first scuffle and then reports to Naruto. After the battle, Naruto thinks that the Otsutsuki weren't all that, but this isn't important, as Sasuke was confident even with the idea of taking out a beyond Kaguya level threat in his head with just him, Naruto, and the 5 Kage. Even then, if Sasuke and Naruto didn't retain Six Paths, they'd be unable to contend with the Otsutsuki, as the base Rinnegan and Biju Sage modes aren't strong enough to even hold a candle to anything relevant to Kaguya. And not only did they pull off a feat relative to Kaguya, give or take, they did this with just taijutsu alone, not even be able to use shadow clones or anything of the sort, while both severely drained of chakra, as Naruto had his chakra drained by Momoshiki until he was sweating, and Sasuke had to teleport numerous people, whereas even just teleporting himself takes a massive portion of his energy. It's self-evident that they had to have become much more powerful, especially if Sasuke was convinced Kinshiki and Momoshiki were a Kaguya level threat in Sasuke's mind, give or take, after facing them at around 2/3 of his maximum chakra, since teleporting to Kaguya's dimension and back completely rips the chakra and tomos out of Sasuke's Rinnegan. Now,
Okay, sorry, I'm sorry, I don't mean to pause, but A, I don't want to talk over him when it comes to the video, but B, this is exactly it. For all the people out there who say that the reason why we don't see Sasuke using any of the Rinnegan abilities in Boruto is because, okay, the only credible excuse for that is that he's never really fought against anyone who, I guess you could say, substantiated the need to use any of the Rinnegan abilities. And that's true. There aren't really a lot of characters that require Sasuke to go as far as to use any of the six paths powers in order for him to deal with them, because just him and his base alone is already insanely fucking strong, so he can just take care of them like that. Okay, that's true. But the thing about it is that whenever they are faced with, let's say, six paths level characters, like for example, and I know this is anime only, but Urashiki, and when they were fighting Momoshiki and Kinshiki, and then of course later on Ishiki, I always wondered, like, why isn't he using any of the six paths techniques that he has? Sorry about that if you can hear that. Why isn't he using any of the six paths techniques? And people always came up. The one excuse that I keep hearing so many people using is that, the Rinnegan abilities uses up a lot of chakra, and that's why he doesn't use it. And while yes, I do agree, the Rinnegan does need a lot of chakra in order to use it, and one of the reasons why let's say Nagato was able to use it is because he was a member of the Uzumaki clan, and the Uzumaki clan are stated to be a clan filled with people who have extraordinarily amounts of chakra and incredibly long lifespans. They have a really strong life force. But the thing is that Sasuke isn't like other people. Yes, he's an Uchiha, but even among the Uchiha, he's different. And the thing is that the excuse that they always use of how it drains a lot of chakra, and they always use this as an example, this from the Naruto Gaiden, and say, well, you see, it was established right here in Naruto Gaiden that using the Rinnegan drains him of his chakra. But what a lot of people don't get is the actual context of what Sasuke is saying right here, because we also see multiple times if you, whether it's the manga or the anime, we see him using a technique like Aminata Jikara, which the one that allows him to switch places with either himself or another person, or himself and an object. He still uses it even without the Tomoe in his Sharingan, or it's not a Sharingan, his Rinnegan, which tells me that he can still use the base Rinnegan abilities, but it's mostly him opening the portals and then searching those other dimensions. That in itself is what uses up a lot of chakra, not the base Rinnegan abilities themselves. That he can use no problem. It's when he opens portals that takes either him or other people with him. That's what drains a lot of his chakra. Specifically, again, the context is what a lot of people keep forgetting. That's why whenever someone tries to use the excuse of, oh, well, the Rinnegan uses up too much chakra, that's why he doesn't use it, that never sat well with me, because whenever they try to back it up, they use this example, but then when you actually look at the example they're using, it still doesn't fit, because again, he's being very specific. It's searching Kaguya's dimension and opening those portals to take him to said dimension. That specifically is what uses up a lot of his chakra. And I hate it. It's like they refuse to accept the fact that the only reason why Sasuke and Naruto don't use a lot of their abilities is because the authors are specifically nerfing them, because they know they made them too powerful, and the story can't happen if they realistically use the abilities that are available to them at the moment. It's just, man, oof.
That's out of the way, we can talk about how we should start actually comparing the two. Madara is a very powerful character in the war, but his feats versus Sasuke and Naruto when they first obtain their powers falls short. Without the second Rinnegan, Madara could hardly react to Rinnegan Sasuke running and chopping him in half, and couldn't tag an off-guard Naruto with even his fastest jutsu like the Sage Art Light Fang, while he was constantly on the defensive from either of them throughout the rest of the encounter. When he gets the second Rinnegan, it's a tad different, however. His limbo clones increase to 4, and he's now able to stand his ground pretty confidently against Naruto and Sasuke. Some people will say that Hagoromo was comparing himself to Madara, however this isn't exactly the case, as Hagoromo was mainly referring to Madara trying to obtain power like his. And also this was one-eyed Madara, who we just saw get chopped in half by Sasuke, who had half the power of Hagoromo. And not even like a full alive Hagoromo with the 10 tails, just like the ghostly goo essence of him inside their like consciousness. Madara then sends the Limbo clones to attack Naruto and Sasuke, Sasuke while he creates a barrage of meteors to attack from above so he can activate the infinite Tsukuyomi. Naruto then retaliates by creating 4 shadow clones to fight Madara's 4 limbo clones. The limbo clones, as a reminder, are around the same strength as Madara himself, as shown during the Bijou fight and as shown versus Naruto and Sasuke when he was actually weaker than them and he was able to actually launch them back with this limbo clone. These limbo clones are then matched by Naruto's shadow clones and they literally go back and forth while Naruto preps attacks to deal with the meteors. Some people will say Madara wasn't trying yet, which isn't relevant as his limbo clones themselves were in fact trying to hold Naruto and Sasuke back and are relative to Madara himself. So just because the actual body of Madara wasn't necessarily going all out, the limbo clones in fact were. We don't know what Madara really means by going all out. Maybe he has like some jutsu or hacks he was planning on using, but otherwise in terms of power, the limbo clones were at their peak. Until evidence otherwise, which there won't be any evidence otherwise because Madara's fucking dead. Hopefully. It's then stated later on that Kaguya is in a completely different league of power than Three-Eyed Madara. Naruto sends thousands of limbo level shadow clones at Kaguya and she handles all of them for the most part with high difficulty. Naruto even swaps hands briefly with her and then can rip her arms off and so on, and completely rip her body structure apart with the Rasen Shuriken. Sasuke in the Boruto era is stated to be a rival or equal to a much more powerful Naruto in terms of a fight in the guides, and also in terms of somewhat of a feat with Momoshiki and etc. So from here, the narrative has established that Rinnegan Madara in terms of power is not really a match for adult Sasuke, and Rinnegan Madara was never really the intended final enemy to fight Naruto and Sasuke anyway. He wasn't the big bad powerhouse Hagoromo was scared of. Hagoromo knew that Kaguya was going to come out of Madara, which is why he actually gave them the seals to begin with. But what about Madara's skills or Sasuke's skills? Madara has a wide variety of combat experience as does Sasuke. Sasuke, even just getting used to the Rinnegan, was able to read Madara like a book and perfectly analyze everything his limbo was up to while Madara jerked off Sasuke's abilities to analyze. It's also somewhat questionable if Madara has mastered his own Rinnegan abilities for the most part, at least if he's mastered them on the level of Sasuke, who's been using them for a decade plus, versus Madara using them for a few days since the second he actually got them in his real life, he died like instantly. So Madara doesn't actually have as much experience with the Rinnegan as Sasuke does, which if Madara did survive, it might be possible that he might actually have more potential to show us, but he's dead again. You might be able to argue that Madara can use wood clones or true-seeking jutsu on Sasuke, although we know that Sasuke doesn't just sit by and let his opponents clone themselves, as he constantly shoved Naruto around during their final battle just so Naruto could not do it. We also know that the Rinnegan can actually absorb wood style as well, at least as stated in the novels, which are more likely to create a Momoshiki versus Naruto kind of situation where Madara's clones won't really be effective or he will just be forced not to use them. And with Sasuke's big power advantage, ability to absorb and attack simultaneously, and possibly abilities to seal with Chubaku Tensei when Madara's weakened, it's not really looking too good for him. Even Kaguya, who had massively more energy than Madara, got tired versus Naruto and somewhat Sasuke, since Sasuke wasn't really there most of the time. Sasuke was also able to fatigue Naruto whenever he gained powers like his, so the Six Path Senjutsu isn't out of Sasuke's league when it comes to attrition either, even when he was much younger. All in all, you'd have to insert a lot of headcanon or assume a lot of things we haven't seen from Madara to really give him the win. The only thing really going for him are limbo clones who wouldn't even be current Naruto shadow clone level, in which Sasuke is an equal to Naruto in combat. His infinite Tsukuyomi wouldn't work, obviously, as it didn't do it before. We don't know if he'd even would clone or if Sasuke would even let him, or if that even affect the power gap at all. His soul ripping jutsus wouldn't work on Sasuke, as even Hanzo was able to dodge Prime Nagato's Soul Dragon despite Hanzo being far inferior. His fire style would get absorbed or completely fondled by Amaterasu or the Rinnegan. His true seeking orbs wouldn't even be Susanoo arrow level as shown in Naruto versus Sasuke in the last battle. He has no genjutsu that can work, nothing at all except possible clone headcanon is really all I can really see. So in the end, Sasuke easily reads Madara like a book, drains his chakra after beating him around with beyond planet level splitting force, with every casual slash of his sword as scaled to Kinshiki from the guides, and then Chubaku Tensei seals him with mid to high difficulty. other than that, that's all that really needs to be said. A little fun fact, some people have been trying to scale Three-Eyed Madara. However, Three-Eyed Madara is actually the one that's stated to be massively weaker than normal Kaguya. And it's actually possible that absorbing the God Tree gave Madara the third eye in his head. So it's possible that whatever boost the third eye gave him was what the God Tree actually does. So the God Tree amp might have actually just been the third eye amp in terms of a boost. So the third eye being used in this battle might not have really changed anything. You might have said it might be able to do some time-space hacks. However, even Kaguya, who's massively above that, could barely handle doing it a few times. So it's unsure if Madara could really use it. And in the end, it doesn't really change anything because this is just two-eyed versus Sasuke. If you think three-eyed Madara would stand a better chance, by all means, you can go ahead. But for now, double Renegon Madara does get clapped. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know a lot of you did it. But other than that, guys, till next time.
Okay, I think that's the end of the video. And yeah, here's the thing. Like they said, adult Sasuke, a lot of people, again, downplay his actual abilities and say that he's gotten weaker when in reality that's not the case. Because, like they said, or like he said and he's shown in this video, Naruto and Sasuke both got a lot stronger as they grow up. Now, yes, you could say a lot of people, you know, use what happened in the Naruto Gaiden where Naruto was stated to be a little bit rusty. That's true, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's any less powerful. He's still a very formidable opponent. Yes, his battle instincts, you could say, have dulled a bit because, you know, he spends most of his time in the, you know, in Konoha to, you know, take care of everything as, you know, the Hokage. But that doesn't mean he's any less powerful. He's still pretty freaking powerful. Remember, he still has the power he got from Haguro Motsutsuki, even though I think, if I remember correctly, one of the data books says that he only has a small portion of it from what he originally had in the fourth grade Ninja War arc, which I still have no idea how the hell that works. But okay, whatever. And he has now the full nine tails, which we've seen what just half of Kurama's power can do. So all of Kurama's chakra, that's just, that's insane. And yeah, it was even stated in the video when, yeah, they were talking here, when Naruto and Sasuke was talking to the five Kage about his findings. He even said that even Kaguya, being as powerful as she was still building an army because she was afraid of what might show up. So that means that it's basically established then that Kinshiki and Momoshiki were stronger than Kaguya. And I know a lot of people might say, well, maybe she was actually worried about Ishiki since Ishiki was now recently established to be a lot stronger than Kaguya. Here's the thing. Kaguya believed, if you actually read the manga, that she actually took care of Ishiki. So I don't think she was really worried about him. I think she was worried about Momoshiki and Kinshiki. That's what she was worried about. And we saw in the beginning of the Boruto movie, Sasuke was fighting on par with Kinshiki, and the only reason why he had to leave is because he was really low on chakra. And he even said, and he was also fighting 2-on-1. Like, I feel like if it was just Kinshiki alone, he might be able to fight him, but if Momoshiki got involved, then that would be trouble, because I don't think even Naruto and Sasuke, as powerful as they are, could take on two members of the Otsutsuki clan on their own. So, yeah, so he realized, yeah, I had to get out of there. So, but the thing that a lot of people got to remember is, and actually now that I think about it, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, because later on in the movie, Naruto and Sasuke fight Momoshiki, and this was fused Momoshiki, and neither of them were anywhere near full power. Like, Naruto was at, I think if I remember correctly, he was only at half strength, and Sasuke was severely drained of chakra. I think he was only at like 30% because he teleported himself and multiple other people, which has been established to severely drain his chakra, and yet they still fought Momoshiki using only taijutsu, and yet they absolutely fondled him. So that is, you could say, it's a little bit of an inconsistency right there when it comes to the movie, but then again, that's nothing new when it comes to the Naruto series. It's unfortunate, but yeah, no, adult Sasuke beats Madara, so I'm sorry, but that's just a fact. I know a lot of people are not gonna like that, but that is the case based on what's been established in the series. So there you go. Anyway, guys, those are just my thoughts. Maybe you guys disagree with me. If you disagree with me, that's fine. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Just let me know about it in the comment section down below, and go ahead and discuss amongst yourself what you guys think. And just remember to keep any discussion civil. Okay, remember, we're all fans here. And also remember to leave a like and share the video and subscribe if you haven't. And also remember to click on the bell icon to let you know whenever I go live. and whenever I post a brand new reaction. So with all of that said and out of the way, thank you so much again for joining me as always, and remember to stay safe, take care of yourselves, and please join me for the next video. Bye for now.